Henry Segrave was born in 1896 in Baltimore, Maryland. His mother was American, his father was an Irish aristocrat. Commissioned into the Royal Warwickshire Regiment in 1914, the following year he was badly injured in hand-to-hand combat in the trenches. Whilst recuperating in England, he transferred to the Royal Flying Corps and gained his wings in November 1915. By the spring of 1916, Segrave was back in France, flying DH-2s with 29 Squadron. He scored 4 kills, but in early July was shot down by anti-aircraft fire and smashed an ankle badly. Back in England once again, Segrave became the world's first drone pilot when he took on flying duties of the aerial target, a small unmanned aeroplane controlled by Morse code. For a while, Segrave was assistant to Sir Henry Norman, British permanent attaché to the French Ministry of Inventions. After short service in the post-war Royal Air Force, Henry Segrave left the military. In 1920, Captain Alistair Miller, an old Flying Corps chum of Segrave's, invited him to race a pre-war Opel at the Brooklands Whitsun meeting. Segrave did rather well, winning that race and several others as the summer progressed. This success brought him to the attention of the Sunbeam Talbot Darracq team, who were looking for a second driver. Segrave took part in the 1922 French Grand Prix, but retired at half distance with mechanical trouble. He had better luck the following year, speeding to victory and becoming the first Briton to win a Grand Prix. Segrave continued racing until 1926, when he retired to concentrate on a land speed record attempt. Sunbeam had developed a twin-supercharged 4-litre V12. Basically, it was 2 of Sunbeam's existing 2-litre straight-six engines mounted on a common crankcase, but in a lightweight car named the Sunbeam Tiger, in March 1926, Segrave broke the land speed record on Southport Beach, averaging 152 miles an hour on 2 consecutive runs through the measured mile. Segrave barely held the record for a month. It was broken twice in April by John Parry Thomas in his 27-litre special named Babs at Pendine Sands in South Wales. Segrave was determined to regain the record, as was Sunbeam, but the budget was tight. A pair of Sunbeam Matabele engines were found in the storeroom, previously fitted to a powerboat, and a car was built around them. With an engine in front of the driver and another behind, the power output was coupled through a gearbox to drive the rear wheels via chains. In February 1927, Malcolm Campbell pushed the land speed record to 174 miles an hour, and a month later Parry Thomas was killed at Pendine Sands whilst trying to break that record. The Sunbeam team had already decided that Pendine Sands were too short for the speed they hoped to achieve, and shipped themselves and the car to Daytona Beach in Florida. On March 29, 1927, Henry Segrave drove the erroneously named 1,000 horsepower Sunbeam, the mechanics cheerfully called it the Slug, to a new land speed record of 203 miles per hour. This time the record would stand for nearly a year, until Malcolm Campbell persuaded the Air Ministry to lend him a supercharged Napier Lion from a Supermarine S-5 seaplane. With the Napier fitted to his car, Campbell took the record, only immediately to be beaten by Ray Keach in the White Triplex Special, a grotesque but effective 81-litre monster with 3 27-litre Liberty Aero engines. Back in England, and with sponsorship from Lord Wakefield, amongst others, Henry Segrave commissioned Jack Irvine to design him a land speed record car around a supercharged Napier Lion engine. The car, assembled in the KLG Sparkplug factory in Putney, was arguably the most beautiful land speed record car ever built. It was remarkably docile too. Segrave drove it from the team's garage in Daytona through the streets of Daytona to the beach for a practice run. On March 11, 1929, Segrave easily took the land speed record, reaching 231 miles an hour on each pass through the measured mile. Segrave was sure he could better his own record, but the sand was booked by the White Triplex team, who were also out to beat him. On the return run, at about 200 miles an hour, driver Lee Bible lost control of the special. He was killed along with a news cameraman who was hit by flying wreckage. Daytona Beach was temporarily closed, and Segrave's Golden Arrow never ran again. Segrave had also shipped a Napier Lion-engined powerboat to America. It proved fast, but not fast enough to take the water speed record held by American Garfield Wood, although it did set a new record for a single-engine boat. In April 1929, on his return from America, Major Segrave, as he was, went for tea and medals with the King, and emerged later the same afternoon as Sir Henry. In 1929, Sir Henry was appointed to the board of the Aircraft Investment Company as technical director and gave his name to a light twin-engine aeroplane they were developing, the Segrave Meteor. Detailed design and construction was carried out by Saunders Roe on the Isle of Wight, and the aircraft first flew on the 28th of May 1930. Even before certification was complete, the Meteor was provisionally entered in the King's Cup Air Race to be held in early July. On the 13th of June, Sir Henry, accompanied by Rolls-Royce engineer Victor Halliwell and mechanic Michael Wilcox, climbed into the cockpit of Miss England 2 on Lake Windermere. Miss England 2, a hydroplane sponsored by Lord Wakefield, was powered by two Rolls-Royce R-type engines, each of 2,000 horsepower and similar to the engines fitted to the Schneider Trophy-winning Supermarine S6. A new record was set on the first two runs, an average of 98.76 miles an hour through the measured mile. It was decided to make a third run to try and push the average over 100 miles an hour and set a new record. Unfortunately, during that run, the boat suddenly capsized in an enormous cloud of spray. Victor Halliwell was killed instantly. Michael Wilcox was thrown clear, only breaking his arm. Sir Henry was pulled from the water, conscious but very badly injured. Amongst his many injuries, a broken rib had pierced his left lung, causing bleeding. There was nothing to be done, and he died shortly afterwards. Sir Henry's last flight was made in the Meteor, from whence his ashes were scattered over the playing fields of Eton. On the 5th of July, the Meteor was flown in the King's Cup Air Race at Hanworth by Flight Lieutenants Richard Atcherley and George Stainforth, both members of the RAF High Speed Flight. Unfortunately, they were amongst the first to retire, the left engine having failed due to fuel starvation caused by defective pipework. In time, development of the Meteor was transferred to the Blackburn Aeroplane Company of Brough, Yorkshire. In 1932, the prototype Meteor was flown to Rome, where the design was developed into the Piaggio P12, although only two were built. The prototype Meteor had been of all-wood construction. Blackburn's main design change was to build the structure from metal. Two production aeroplanes were completed, the first flown to Nairobi and back without incident. The second was based at Brough, used for charter and air taxi work. A third machine lay incomplete until 1934, when it was finished with a Duncanson tubular monospar wing. The Duncanson tubular spar, with a fuel tank incorporated in the centre section, saved over 300 pounds in empty weight over a standard Meteor. Included in Sir Henry Segrave's original technical proposal for the Meteor, written up in 1929, was the suggestion of a much larger aeroplane along similar lines to be powered by two Napier H-type engines. The Napier engines were developed into the Rapier series, and in late 1934 Blackburn started construction of a very similar machine to that proposed by Segrave. Incorporating a Duncanson monospar wing, the aircraft was completed by 1937. Unfortunately, Duncanson himself was killed in a motorcar accident, and the Blackburn HST-10, as it was called, never flew. It was broken up shortly after the Second World War. The last Meteor to fly was operated by the Red Hill Flying Club and withdrawn in late 1938. None survive. Without the enthusiastic impetus of its technical director, it seems the Meteor project was doomed to wither on the vine. Although the Segrave Meteor is largely forgotten, Sir Henry Segrave and his exploits certainly are not. After his death, his widow established the Segrave Trophy for outstanding skill, courage and initiative on land, water or in the air. Donald Campbell was awarded the Segrave Trophy 3 times, and recipients have included Wing Commander Ken Wallace, Brian Trubshaw and Sir Stirling Moss. Segrave's 1922 Grand Prix Sunbeam survives, as does the Sunbeam Tiger. Golden Arrow, which hasn't run since setting the land speed record in 1929, survives in the National Motor Museum at Beaulieu. Unfortunately, due to corrosion issues with the Napier Lion engine, it's very unlikely to run again. The 1000 horsepower Sunbeam, the Slug, is also at Beaulieu Motor Museum. It's in remarkably original condition, and as of March 2025, is under restoration to full working order. Link to the excellent Scarf and Goggles videos in the description. Thank you for watching.